thought have power. It'll change people, the way people think and feel and react. So for the next 3 episodes of podcast, I will be talking about calming an anxious mind. This is how mindfulness and compassion can free you from anxiety, fear, and pain. This is by Jeffery Brantley, medical doctor, forward by Jon Kabat-Zinn, PhD. The ISBN will be below in the description. So the podcast will be separated into 3 parts. The first part is going to be getting oriented. The second part is going to be practice mindfulness. And the third part is going to be applying mindfulness to fear, panic, and anxiety. So let's start with part 1, getting oriented. So let's start with the basic. How do you know if people have fear, anxiety, or pain? So the most obvious thing is that you can look at that person physically. So for example, when you look into an athlete before its competition, you will like notice that the athletes will tensed up or like being like strengthened. As a good example, I mean, because of nervousness. So when people have that emotion, people identify themselves as anxious or frightened personality if they have it often. So in the book, the authors say that it is actually wrong because you are limiting the definition of it. So even if at times anxiety is strong, you fear, you're going crazy, your heart rate is always pounding, you avoid people, places because you're scared you made yourself as a fool. You are a perfectionist, tormented by guilt because you feel like you never measure up. The truth is, you are much more momentarily experienced. You have the capacity to recognize who you are. I mean, that already shows that already because you have the attention and the awareness of yourself, right? And what you have to do is just meditate with mindfulness and accept your true self, right? So, first of all, we have to start understanding fear, panic, and anxiety. So, fear and anxiety shares the same feeling. So the difference is that in fear, you felt a threat. Like at the moment, you feel like okay, something's gonna like hit me. Like you just feel something's wrong. Like for example, you're at a cliff and you're about to jump, bungee jump, and you feel that is fear. But in anxiety, you feel a threat, but it is not in like the moment. Like so you, for example, you wake up in the morning and you feel like, oh my gosh, my assignment is due in like an hour or two. And you feel that rushness and you feel like something is wrong with your body. You tend to like tense up. So that is anxiety. So what is worry? Because anxiety seems so the same as worry, right? So worry is a expression of anxiety. What about panic? So panic is a sudden intense of fear. So all the above causes fear reaction, physically and cognitively, emotional changes at the moment. So like in the physiological and emotional experience, you feel stuck, you feel confused, you feel lost control, and it is hard for you to like think clearly because when you're in a rush, when you're in a panic, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like you just can't think clearly. Whatever goes to your mind, you just like do it. So behavior experience is gonna have like there's a snowball effect to it. That so when you start avoiding people, it will affect your social life, relationship, um, work, and even like personal health and inner health. So the feeling is gonna be more like you're gonna get restless and you're gonna be in low energy. So it'll be a chronic issue if constantly happening to you, but in the short term, it actually benefits you. Um, so for example, like when you're rushing an assignment, you know that oh my gosh, I have an assignment in 2 hours. So this chronic feeling will just rush into you, and you'll be like, okay, the chronic feeling will give you an alarm saying that, oh my gosh, I need to do this right now. So it will indirectly like increase your performance and productivity for the moment, and somehow you just get more focused and with more motivation to do it. The word somehow, it shouldn't be using. Like, I think it should be used as increase your performance and productivity, because you know that if you did not submit your assignment at X amount of time, you know that something's going to happen, right? So from that perspective, we could see that anxiety actually will increase your attention, which it sounds good, but in the same time, like, too much of those can cause anxiety disorders. So when we look into the biology of it, you'll see changes in the like CNS, which is central nervous system, and PNS, which is the peripheral nervous system. So little control body does to you, but it can be trained. It can cause by like cognitive emotional influence. So I have a very good example, which is how parents grow children. So in the, I wouldn't say Asian, but I know that in a lot of like Chinese houses, so like the false alarm wake up, where how your parents will like wake you up. So imagine that you desire to wake up at 6 a.m., right? And out of a sudden, you did not hear your alarm ring. Parents will just like wake you up and say, oh my gosh, it's like 7 a.m., you're gonna be late for school. And you just rushed up, right? And when you look at your phone, you just notice that, oh my gosh, it's actually 5:30. Like, there's still 30 minutes. And you just stand, like, from the instant worriness, you just like suddenly just calm down. And it is actually very unhealthy, because that will cause long-term stress. Like, long-term stress means chronic breakdown. So how should we treat anxiety disorders? Since this book is a meditation, I would like to follow what this book says. And it says that in medication, people use this antidepressant or selective serotonin reuptake inhibition. In the psychologist's view, they provide CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy. So that will help you to relax your body. Psychologists will teach on thoughts, patterns, body sensation, and situations that to react to fear, and how to react to that fear, if that makes sense. So for example, I am scared of height. So I am gonna go to like a cliff, and I'm gonna like, how am I gonna encounter height? And in this book, it suggests the psychologist way, and it is like the best way in this book is a self-help method, which is meditation, which in psychology we call it mindfulness CBT. So we're gonna pay attention on purpose, and we're gonna start practice mindfulness. When we're doing that, equals to that we learn how to relax and stay positive, with a non-judging and friendly awareness, right? So it doesn't really help. The book wants us to give a shot to try. It's because that mindfulness is not a concentrational technique. So it is just to learn to observe by increased consciousness in a non-judging way. So what about meditation? Of course, it will definitely help. So study in the book shows that there'll be two groups, one control group, and another one is going to be a normal group. So in a control group, there's 8 weeks of activity of like training on a meditation. And the finding is that in the meditation group, in like they'll use the MRI scanner to scan the brain. And what we notice is that meditation or the control group, they notice that there is more neural activity in the in the left frontal region of the brain, which also shows that there's also more like better immune system in the individual's body that practice meditation, which means that meditation is scientifically proven that it will help you to calm down. And mindfulness is not like, it is still not scientifically proven yet, but when you look at videos all around the social media, it seems that it tends to work. So that is why the book says like give it a shot, like try it yourself. If you never try, you never know. I mean, practicing mindfulness will not give you any harm. So why not just let go for yourself for once and try it out? Let's see the body and the feeder system. How does it correlate? So we know how we feel when we're scared, right? So we know that our heart rate will start to increase. We know that our body will start to get intense. We shrink our body. We'll tend to sweat, and we'll tend to be more alert. We're gonna be more sensitive to our surroundings, right? And our body and mind is actually interconnected. So as humans, we are changing consciously with interaction with our surroundings. It is required information via sense, right? So brain and the nervous system need to be connected. So the key is like the CNS, which is central nervous system. It will cause the fight or flight or the relaxation response. We'll go into each of those deeply later. So there's a study in University of Wisconsin at 2003. It has shown that the frontal lobe, amygdala, and hippocampus shows change in response in the environment. So result that triggers fight or flight leads to stress response, which we could see that it'll increase in blood pressure and heart rate, and it'll tense up your body and alertness. Plus, this is a good thing, hormone reaction to defense our own self, which means we need hormone to activate our system. There'll be chemicals going through our whole body, which is glucocortisol, which we will talk about it later. Which how does it like help us to react fast? So how do the fear system operate? So let's start from the amygdala, right? It's a small almond shape in your brain, which is around in the middle. So a scientist named Joseph Ledoux says that amygdala receive information from the sensory input. So sensory could be eye, it could be taste. Like eye will lead to visual, taste will lead to, tongue will lead to taste, skin will lead to feelings, etc. So when we do this, there will be a following process by the sensory to the cortex. And it will input past memory with sensory, and it'll input into the amygdala, and it will respond out to the prefrontal lobe. And another term, which means that once we sense the effect or the sensation, it will like directly go to our cortex, which will find like, because cortex is a place where we store memory. So from there onwards, the sensation will go into the cortex and find past memories for it. And from there onwards, it'll input the memory into the amygdala and throw out the emotion to us. Like that is how our reaction came out from. So the amygdala starts functioning to alarm fear systems, which activate the hypothalamus. So it fires system to the ANS, which is the autonomic nervous system. So in the autonomic nervous system, it will send chemical, which is the hormone, to organs and tissues in order to activate the flight or fight system. So there's two pathways during that moment. The first one is the fast one, and the second one is the slow one. So both of them, the pathway is about the same, but it is actually different. So the fast way is like the information directly to the amygdala, and the fight and flight just like responds immediately, right? Because we have no time to like react to danger. Like we need like the information ASAP. And the second one is the slow reaction is going to be information to the amygdala, but will think about the information, and from there onwards, it'll either continue to throw out the fight or flight system or start to calm our body down in order to like slow it or get rid of the flight or fight system. So higher sense is needed to turn off the fight or flight system. If it's not, I mean, if it does not, if it doesn't function well, if it fails to operate, the fight or flight just gets louder. And scientists actually discovered that if this continues, it will cause disorders such as anxiety disorders. So when we go back to the example I gave just now, which is how parents like wake the children up. If the parents wake the children up and the children constantly have that anxiety going on, saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm late," and after checking the phone, it's like, "Oh, I'm actually still early," but the flight or flight system consistently turn on, you'll have anxiety throughout the whole time. So that when it became a long-term thing, it will start to cause anxiety disorders. So our body actually do not forget the experience of what happened. In simple terms, is that our body would not forget the experience of fear, right? So our body would tend to learn the information. When similar things happen, it will like directly head back to the cortex, and the cortex will sense, oh, like B actually have the same reaction as A. So our body will indirectly or directly produce the result. Like it's that autonomic, like for example, when a car is like gonna bang you, like you automatically jump away, right? But before that, we need to experience something in order to know that a car bangs us and we will be injured, or it might cause death. So for example, in situation A, a bicycle is gonna like hit you, and because you do not know that if the bicycle hit you, you feel pain or not. So at the first place, when you got hit by the bicycle, you'll just like fall down, and you'll learn from the experience that, oh, when I get hit by a vehicle, you start to get pain, or you might cause to worse injuries, right? So when situation B happens, which is when the car comes, it's like driving straight to you and it's going to bang you. From now, like the sensory input is your vision, and it'll go to the cortex, and the cortex will sense similar situation, which is a bicycle like hits you, and you automatically your body will shoot out the fight or flight system and just avoid the incident happen. So, but when the fight or flight system constantly like firing in your body, so anxiety and chronic stress will start attacking, right? So chronic stress is a long-term stress, which it's a persistent and reported activation of the fear system over an extended period of time. So there's a research by Shelley Taylor, a psychologist at UCLA, discovered that repeated flight or flight causes increased blood pressure and heart diseases, which overly activate stress hormone, especially glucortisol, which I just mentioned like a couple of minutes ago. So it'll lead to like immune deficits, causes worsen depression, and disrupt memory. So, and in the same time, it will increase glucocortisol, which glucocortisol is two words. So it's like glucose and cortisol. Glucose, which we know is sugar, cortisol is actually a stress hormone. So by combining those two, it's going to be glucocortisol. And when that increases, when sugar increases, it'll increase the risk of diabetes. And in the same time, it also increases the cancer risk. But in the same time, the good part is that in our body, we also have a relaxation response. So that is the opposite of fight or flight system, which is we'll calm down. We have a much more relaxed and calm body. Our blood pressure is low and our heart rate is actually low. So how are we gonna like achieve relaxation response? So in a book, it quoted Herbert Benson. He's from Harvard Medical School. He's a pioneer in mind-body medicine. So Benson like recruited people who practice transcendent medicine. I mean transcendent meditation. So the summary of the finding is that the breath rate, oxygen consumption, and level of blood lactate. So blood lactate is a chemical have high levels associated with anxiety and low level of calm. All of them decrease remarkably. So brain waves related to rest and relaxation, which is alpha, theta, and delta wave, increase frequently, and beta wave is decreased. So beta wave is when it's our normal waking activity. One very major factor is that our thoughts, the power of thoughts. So thought have power. It'll change people, the way people think and feel and react. So thought occur in emotions, which led to fear and anxiety. So it's actually good and bad. So let's start with bad, which is fearful and anxiety uses lots of energy in the body, right? Because when we fear, when anxiety, the flight will hit, and we're always tense up. Like imagine like in like a squeezed position, like how that's a lot of energy consumed. But in the good side is that higher centers can override the fear, so which is good. And later we'll talk about how. So the impact of thought is actually very scary though. So negativity brings down people to suicide and burst with anger. I mean, I'll give you like two examples of sentences such as shocked to death or burst with anger. Like listening to these two, like, don't you think it's scary? Imagine that people. I mean, when you're angry, like your whole body is like tensed up, your heart rate again like goes up, your blood pressure is like so high, and you can't even think properly. And when that happened, you might just get shocked to death. Like imagine a person from a healthy state just like in 3 seconds just boom. Like that is very scary. So from here, like how can mindfulness help that? So let's listen to another two sentences. Like I am tired all the time, right? I am not smart enough. When you listen to these two sentences, the word I or similar words such as me, myself, or mine is actually very, very heavy. So let's change the sentence like into a more positive way, such as I am energetic all the time. Like, look at that. Like, I am energetic. I am motivated. Like, it'll just twist the whole table around. So when we practice mindfulness, we have to recognize all our thoughts are simply as impermanent and passing events. Actual experience actually lie beyond words and ideas and experience only through practices. So where can we find experience? So the answer is meditation is the best way. Found yourself grounded in a direct experience of attention and awareness applied to thoughts and experience in the moment, right? So when you're meditating, you're actually grounded to yourself. You're calm. Calm. You're more aware. You pay more attention in yourself. So meditation is actually not as hard as you think. So you just need a quiet room, a calm area, a safe spot for yourself, and you should take it as an art and skill. Meditation skills come from practices, and art is through experience and wisdom to see things clarity, right? So, it makes so much sense. So, imagine like those people who do art, like whatever they draw draw a picture or they do painting, when you look closely, you keep expanding, getting ideas, get where the motivation come from. It's actually same like meditation, right? So when you calm yourself down in meditation, like during meditation, like keep asking yourself the word why, and eventually you find a very solid answer for yourself. And the answer is actually, you feel like when you know the answer, when you keep asking yourself why, all things will become clear. You will understand why people behave like that. You will understand in the moment why do you react like that, and you will understand like how your body works. Like for example, like I'll say I'm stressed out, and you're gonna be like, why? Why am I stressed out? Because I do a lot of homework. And why do I have a lot of homework? Because I go to class. But why do I have to go to class? Because for education. And from a deep negative thought, when you keep asking yourself why, you find out that a lot of positive thoughts will start coming in, and that is when you start getting experience and motivation. Right. So in meditation experience is actually your best teacher. So there are many videos online. So what I personally do is that I watch so many videos online and I create a meditation pattern for myself. So everyone is different. So the best way to find your own pattern is to like get multiple, go through, meditate through multiple like videos, find which sentence that attract you the most, like which video like help you the most. From there onwards, you should like take pieces from each video and combine it all together and apply it to yourself. And I think that is the best way for you to find a perfect meditation video for yourself. So let's have a closer look at mindfulness. So right here in the book, I have summarized it and I have differentiated into 4 categories. The first one is going to be reflection, which is reflect the situation and learn. The second one is quality, which is non-judgment and openness. You face the past, improve on ourselves, and move on. Face pain and compassion. The third one is kindness and intimacy, which slowly open your heart. And the fourth one is stillness and silence, which can be uncomfortable at first, but you will love it when you're used to it. So above will lead to feel weird and worse, but you need to feel worse before feeling better. You will learn how to relax. A very good example is that what I just said just now, that I am stressed out. Keep asking yourself why. Like stress is actually a very negative thing, and when you listen to the word stress, you actually tend to feel weird and you feel like so depressing. But when you keep asking why, you notice that the end product is actually a very good thing, and stress is the byproduct. You just tend to feel better. So you will find your core of open heart awareness will be like more, and you learn steadiness and harmony. So let's go back to what is meditation. Like how should we combine mindfulness with meditation? So meditation, there's 4 parts. So the first part is attention, which establish ourselves in present moment. The second is going to be awareness, which is develop consciousness. The third is going to be understand the situation and perspective. The fourth one is going to be compassion, which is kind, non-judging attention to ourselves. So with all those 4 aspects together in meditation, it'll lead to direct attention in calm and steady way. Develop awareness to ourselves. You'll gain understanding and wisdom, and having qualities like kindness and compassion. But remember, meditation is not positive thinking. It's not just a relaxation technique, but also increase awareness and wisdom. And you should not blame yourself during meditation. because you blame yourself for being stressed, as the example just now. Like you just go like worse and worse. But when you keep asking yourself why, the motivation and like the tense feeling in a good way, a tense feeling of success. You feel like success is coming into you. So with that, attitude is very important during meditation. So we need to always think that you have something to learn during meditation. You need to let go your ego. You need to have curiosity. You need to have motivation, determination, and discipline. And you have to keep believing in yourself. So the most effective way of meditation, it's non-judging, having a beginner mind, learn how to let go, be patient, trust, non-striving, which is let go your ego, and acceptance. So people tend to say, I have no patience to meditate. Like, it is just uncomfortable. I mean, to build up your patience, that's just two types. The first one is formal, and the second one is informal. The formal way is to practice meditation, which you have to calm yourself down, relax yourself, and start going into the momentum and the moment. And in the informal way, which is, for example, during the day, something happened. What you have to do is just deep breath, like calm yourself down and be mindful, which is the most crucial thing. So keep in mind that meditation is not a magic cure, and mindfulness is about being and not doing. So this concludes the whole part one of the book and some explanation for myself. I would love you to try to start meditation with mindfulness because it will really change yourself, and there's a lot of scientific evidence in the example shown that how important it is and how it calms you down. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I am so grateful for you to listen to this, and I am still learning day by day. I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I am just a student, and I would just like to share my knowledge through reading. Thank you so much.